Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne is not just a king or a queen. They are a protector of the realm.
How long did the doctor give you?
Therapist, so not long.
That's probably worse.
Yeah. You wish your fucking white blood cell count was up. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Ruben, formerly known as Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron, and we are back to talk about House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 4, The Red Dragon and the Gold. Cool title. Directed by Alan Taylor, written by Ryan Condal. Last episode, I kind of implied that Alan Taylor directed Blackwater. That's actually not true. It was Neil Marshall. So, sorry, Neil. Also directed the latest Hellboy. So, I don't know. I guess he got worse. And Alan Taylor directed Thor too. So maybe there's just, I don't know, maybe it's a superhero thing. But yeah, episode 4, highest rated on IMDb. And IMDb, you know, the ratings there are, that's where you go when you want to know if something's good or not. So 9.7 out of 10. The fans really seem to be liking it. I saw a lot of chatter, a lot of chit chatter on the internet's moments that instantly became iconic because of how devastating they were and how epic. So yeah. Follow us on social medias at Nerd Soup, at Beau Soup, at Nerd Soup Monkey, and subscribe to our Patreon page if you want to listen to our fan question pods. And one of the fan question pods this month is going to be focused on this episode. We're going to take some questions and answer them to the best of our abilities. So go ahead and pledge $2 if you want 3 a month, or $5 if you want 5. And that's it for the plugs. Well, we will plug something in the middle, but that's actually just an ad. So don't click away, please. Aaron, how are you doing? How'd you like the episode?
The one that we all been waiting for. Definitely when the show got announced and all the hype around the Dance with the Dragons, I think this is what a lot of people had in mind. So finally seeing it all play out on screen, dragon on dragon, in a war setting, a battle setting. I think it was as epic as advertised. And the whole episode, really, I thought was very strong. Not only that last sequence, I thought the build-up was great, everything leading up to it on both sides, and then seeing it all come to a head in that moment. And obviously, what we've come accustomed to in this world, really liking a character. I think we were talking about how much we liked Rhaenys last week or the week before. You know, week later, dead. So,
No, didn't see a body.
I mean, she gave, that was a death fall.
I thought that was just damn, I lost this one, but I'll get him next week. No, yeah, I guess no. I'm looking at it here. Yeah, she's dead. Holy shit. Yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah, big loss for the Blacks. But yeah, I think just seeing how it all play out on screen, just how nasty.
Yeah, it did make me feel bad for Sunfire, especially the way that he embraced Aegon. Gave him a little nudge on the chest. He was happy to see him. Like, hey, you don't come visit me? What the hell? What are you doing? You being king? I bet you're a good king. When he was being scratched at and just started bleeding all over the battlefield, I was like, that's not cool. He's a living thing. He's a creature with feelings. He's crying. Stupid Aegon.
Well, I wouldn't say poor Sunfire because she did enable Aegon to drive drunk.
Sunfire's a girl?
I think so. I think all the dragons are girls. You know, like a car. Everyone refers to their cars as a she. I think dragons are the same.
Okay, because I know they call Vhagar, they go out of their way to call Vhagar a she-dragon. But the other ones don't really get that. But pretty dragon, very golden.
Yeah, but also an enabler. Got to breathalyze your boy there.
I know, dude. And, you know, he finally has that heart-to-heart with his mom, and she's like, do nothing. And he's like, all right, I'll do the most. Got it.
I mean, I was on board with him when he was just drinking his sorrows away. I'm like, yeah, you know, I get that. But then he just went to war. He should have just been at a Wendy's drive-thru. His day would have went a lot better.
I thought that, even though I really liked that moment between Aegon and Sunfire, I thought it could have been a better way to surprise the audience where he just shows up, where you have no idea that Aegon's actually going to take the initiative, that after that conversation with his mom, maybe he's actually going to listen, sit back, let the big boys handle it. And then he just swoops in and you're like, this fucking guy, this knucklehead. Because you really just get that reaction from Kristen Cole and Aemon. And then Aemon kind of plays it beautifully, and we'll talk more about him. Yeah, I wish they would have kept that as a surprise from the audience. Even, well, I guess they don't really tell you that Aemon and Vhagar are going to be there. But yeah, as for the whole battle sequence, just skipping to the end, it was really well done. And like you said, it was gnarly. It was epic. It was hard to watch because, as we've said time and time again, there are no clear heroes in this story, especially in a battle like this. I guess you could say Rhaenys, but I felt bad because, as I said, they're living creatures. And the poor guy was bleeding all over the battlefield.
Dragons, direwolves, anything of the sort. It's always sadder because even though dragons are highly intelligent, they don't want to be doing this.
I feel like there's a part of the dragons that think when they're in the midst of battle, we don't need these humans. Just brush them off. Kick them off like fleas. Who are they to us? They just speak to us in this funny language. English is fine. We understand English too, guys.
It is insane. I'll never get over just seeing a dragon mow down an army in seconds. It's like you ever mow a lawn and you go up and back and up and down and up and down. It's kind of like what it is, but with human bodies, and all that's left is ash.
Yeah, the perspectives on the ground are always so cool, especially when you don't know which side the dragon is going to be on, because when Meleys first comes to the battle, the people that were sieging the castle and the people that were in the castle, you just don't know. You have no clue. The only one who really makes their mark right away is Vhagar, because she's so fucking big. And everything that they've done with Vhagar throughout the first season and now this season has been so much fun. As I said, her arrival to the battle, taking those big steps, walking around like Godzilla, a giant shadow over the battlefield. When they're ready to go, when they get that signal and then Aemon says, "Wait, Vhagar," and she just plops herself on the floor like a dog. I thought that was really cute. And a lot of people don't seem to like Vhagar because she's been killing all the good guys, I guess you can call them, or the characters that people like because they're not mentally ill. And now she's got another one under her belt, Meleys, who is the biggest dragon of Team Black. And that was also very touching, the relationship between Rhaenys and Meleys, and how she goes down with the ship. She's not going to parachute out of there. That's what I would have been doing. I would have been like, Meleys, I love you, but I'm doing a fucking cannonball. And also it shows that Rhaenys, what ends up being her final moments, she doesn't run from the battle. She doesn't flee. She has an opportunity to maybe go back to Dragonstone, fight another day, but she already gave up one opportunity to take out Team Green. So she decides to turn back, face Vhagar one-on-one, and goes out like a warrior. And she even says to Meleys, we have, one more battle. So she's a veteran. She's done this before. She's been around the block. And, those final moments really reveal the character of a person. You see Aegon, who is screaming for his life and terrified, and Rhaenys and Meleys go down fighting. So even though it's devastating to see a character that so many people loved perish in that way, it was an epic ending for that character. And Vhagar just too big of a dragon, man. Just too big.
Nah,
that's a
Vhagar
big motherfucker.
Heard the Celtic Shack allegations.
That's that they always say it's not that they can't go out and dominate for one game. It's a full season.
Yeah.
So that was a nice NCAA tournament type of performance. Just one and done.
She loves the coming out of nowhere and snap a next move.
It's a good move. That was also brutal. The way Meleys looked over at Rhaenys.
Well, it's just
in my head, I was thinking, she's fucking my shit up, bro. I'm sorry. It's a wrap.
Viserion, too. When the dragon's bleeding and it just plops where people are and changes perspective of just it's like a monsoon of blood coming down. It's just so fucking gross. It's just so big and it's coming from so high and it's just so much blood. And it just really puts it into perspective just how massive these things are.
Yeah, and the combustion too, because it always sets off a little spark there, and it's like a bomb falling out of the sky. It's a living, breathing, biological super weapon with no care as to who's on the ground. It was like when Vhagar recovered from that first aerial battle and had to find her footing. And she's just getting ready to take off again, and she's stepping on motherfuckers. And when she lifts her foot, you see the blood gushing like a geyser. That sequence, I absolutely adored. That whole slow motion, as I said before, it reminded me of Godzilla. Just you don't know who's on which side at that point. You're taking out your own men, actually, but that's how dragons operate. They're ants to them.
Well, even the aftermath of the battle, all the bodies, the char, the burning castle, the fucking dragon, in the walls. Just complete destruction in like less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, dude, as I said, Aemon, when he realizes that Aegon is joining them in this battle when he wasn't supposed to be, he decides to burn them both. And I think that you can take it as this is life or death. If I don't take my best shot at Melees, this is a veteran dragon with a veteran rider, I could be killed. And right now they're tangled up. Let me just burn them both. But it's also, let me burn my dumbass brother so I can maybe take the throne here. Maybe I can be in charge. Because we saw, my favorite scene of the episode ended up being the small council meeting when he started talking shit to him in High Valyrian. I started laughing so hard, dude. When he's talking about, yeah, you were busy being an asshole, assigning all these idiots to your Kingsguard who don't even know how to stand. And then when Aegon attempted to speak High Valyrian back to him, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he totally messed it up. And it was like a baby saying, "Can I have my war now?"
I thought I was stupid for a second. Like, am I reading this wrong? Like, this doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, Aemon's his facial reaction to him fucking up the High Valyrian was just like, yeah, this is exactly why people in this room respect me and listen to me, and they don't respect you.
Well,
Aegon really should have just played that off. He should have just been more confident in it, because nobody there speaks High Valyrian.
Yeah,
I would have just been throwing words at him.
But you can tell, like, obviously no one understands what they're saying just by body language alone, that he's getting cooked.
Totally, dude. Yeah, that is such a good point, that there's no really returning from that, just because you're so shook because your baby brother is checking you in front of all these people in a dead language. It was just such a badass thing to do in that moment. And that's why it reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones, where even in a battle episode, to me, the best scene was two members of the same side sparring verbally. That ended up being the most memorable scene for me. And Aemon is just such a delight. The way he walks, the way he talks, the way he was commanding that room and breaking down why this was the right way to go. So he continues to just be amazing. And also the actor who plays Tom Glencarney, he's been amazing all season. And as I said, I did not, or as I've been saying, I did not expect to enjoy his character this much. And I thought it was another phenomenal performance. Just a kid out of his element, happy to be at the battle. And then he gets such a real taste of what war actually is. He got burnt. Motherfucker got burnt.
Yeah, I mean, in the preview for next episode, I think there's a snippet of Alicent asking if he's still alive, so we'll have to wait and see on that. He definitely fucking took quite a tumble, and yeah, some people are just built for it, some people aren't. And it adds a whole nother layer too, especially that it's like it was Rhaenys' daughter's dragon that ends up killing her. Just going back to that season 1, him taking the initiative, snagging that dragon up for the Greens.
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking about this episode. That little ass kid climbing that big ass dragon. And Otto called it at the time. He shifted the balance of power there. So it ends up being a very costly battle. But I think the plan by Criston Cole and Aemon worked in a way where if Aegon didn't show up, it probably would have worked a bit more flawlessly there. But he really throws a wrench in the whole thing. But Criston Cole is also getting a taste of real battle. You know, he's been going around the Crown Lands and, yeah, having his successes, but this is just a whole different level to it. So you won, but at a very, very big cost. So there were a lot of lessons to be learned for all of these characters. And the lesson that Aemon learned is, I'm awesome. Because I thought that was a great touch when the music changes from tragic to triumphant, when you're seeing Melees crash land, and then you pan up to Vhagar in the sky, and Aemon has that triumphant look on his face. Another battle won. The first one was kind of an accident, and I was heavily favored, but you got to play who's in front of you. But here, it's a success.
Well, and Kristen's kind of like competent when he's not with Alicent.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. I mean, listen, he worked his way up from a lowly shoe salesman all the way to the Kingsguard before, he's kind of a fuckboy now, but he earned it to an extent.
Yeah, building up his army, going through the Crownlands, the plan to not go to Harrenhal, which I think, ended up being a great move, knowing that they might send a dragon, having a dragon ready at the go. He might be okay at this.
Yeah, and we got the first moment of somebody calling him Kingmaker, and they're talking about how that nickname is beginning to spread when he captures Duskendale, which was probably his biggest feat until Rook's Rest. I enjoyed that scene. Obviously, it's the classic bend the knee and we won't kill you, and the Lord of House Starklin stands firm, doesn't break his vow. I always appreciate that. Although I would break my vow at that point if somebody's got a sword at my neck.
I would fucking crumble in seconds.
But
Rhaenyra, the Whore of Dragonstone?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she kills
I
kids.
don't like her.
Dragonstone's about to be raided too. But when he walks off after that execution, there was some power there. There was some aura there. The hand of the king. I think that's the first time he's ever felt like, for better or worse, in charge of a situation.
Well, and he passed his sentence and swung the sword too. So big episode for Kristen.
And my boy G Wayne just continues to be annoying. That's what he's there for.
Well, it's another, like, he's completely right, but he just doesn't know the plan.
Yeah,
it's like if he knew the plan, then he'd be like, okay. But
that's what it kind of does suck for Kristen. I felt bad for Kristen there because Aegon wasn't part of the plan. Now G Wayne's thinking, I was right. That's why he's a good addition. As much as everybody hates Kristen Cole, you know, when you hate a character, you got to give them a little antagonist, a little annoying side character.
The G Wayne and Kristen spinoff?
Dude, and in between, what are they doing? I mean, Bela was talking about that they're just chilling in the forest. There's some side plots there. There's some shenanigans. We don't got writers anymore in Hollywood? Jesus Christ.
Well, all this is going on, and Damon's just having a fucking crisis at Harrenhal.
Yeah, that's fun. Once again, Millie Alcock coming back as Rhaenyra. This time it was a bit more brutal. He fucking chops her head off.
Yeah, I mean, he's facing the women of his past, obviously the young Rhaenyra and Lena, kind of coming to maybe grips with his past or kind of facing his past demons in a way. And I kind of like how they leave it, you know, is Alice inducing these visions or planting it, or is it she might be inducing it, but it's him, like his own subconscious that's painting these pictures. I kind of like when we kind of get into this trippy area when it comes to Thrones. So interesting to see how he comes, like what perspective he comes out of all this with. And I love the scene when he kind of just fades into that council meeting where there's just time that he lost track of, leaves so much up in the air of like what's actually going on and where is he at mentally right now.
Yeah, he looked up and he was like, who are you? I felt so bad for the little Tully kid. The Tullys, they got a lot of people in their house that they're not, you know, bad people, but they're just, I don't know, they're kind of soft. They remind me like Rob was soft, Edmure. Blackfish was hard. Blackfish was cool, but you never see Blackfish. And now this little dumb kid.
I love how he named the Tullys after Muppets. It's so fucking funny. Elmo, Grover, and Oscar.
That's going to be so funny when we meet Grover's big brother next week and his name is Bird.
Bird Tully.
Yeah, Big Bird Tully. Yeah, but I enjoyed those scenes. Damon talking with the young Tully and sitting down. Right, this system here of when your grandsire is incapacitated or your father, and then it immediately falls on to whoever's next in line, and that could be a 10-year-old. Not very efficient.
He was so dead ass when he's like put a feather pillow over his face.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was. It's like, I'll do it for you, dude.
He was having like these identity issues. Like, what is he really doing this for Rhaenyra, for himself? Yeah, he's got a lot going on. He's a tortured soul, that Damon.
Yeah, and putting a tortured soul in a haunted castle, there's a lot that you can get into with that. Like you said, the transition was clever when he takes the drink from Alice and all of a sudden he wakes up and he's in the small council meeting. And as you said, it's kept, it's uncertain whether the castle is actually haunted, whether he's actually seeing these things or he's hallucinating because he's a bad guy and, or he doesn't know if he wants to be a good guy or a bad guy. He doesn't know if he wants to be the king or if he wants to support Rhaenyra. So it's continuing on what he was dealing with last episode. And it's also Daemon learning during the small council meeting when Rhaenyra comes back and Jace says to her, you can't take risks because without you, everything is lost. People are following you. They made the oath to Viserys to support you. And I think Daemon's coming to that realization, like when he's talking to Willem and he asks, you know, how do you feel about Rhaenyra? Is this just an excuse for you to kill Brackens? And he goes, no, I tried to court her and there was something about her that I admired, that she had the true spirit or the fire of the dragon inside of her. And Daemon's reminded of that's kind of why he liked Rhaenyra so much too, that he was drawn to her. And I've made this point before, it's a lot easier to have a relationship with someone who's much younger than you, who you don't really see as a threat, but you can still mold them into becoming that leader. But now it's the realization that Rhaenyra is a grown adult and she is the queen. She is the one that people love and admire and follow. So yeah, he's learning a lot about himself and learning about the bigger world, that if he were to stake his claim and crown himself king, many people aren't going to follow him. They fear him, but they don't love him. And you need a healthy combination of both in a world like this. And Alice Rivers felt like a totally new character in this episode. A bit more friendly, funny. And the last episode, she was just creepy. And her accent wasn't as strong. Now she's got like a nice, strong... last episode, she sounded like she was from Long Island. She's just like, you're going to fucking die here.
That ass.
It's always fun when you pair Daemon with independent women because he's going to be drawn to them. Even though he likes to spar with them, he takes a liking to it because he enjoys that fire.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see, like I said before, like what does he learn after all this? Where is he going to be at? Or is he just going to stay stubborn till the end? Obviously, we'll see what happens as far as strategy for the war plans next, but you got to figure that even though maybe they took a slight detour, Harrenhal is going to be in the sights of the Greens at some point.
Yeah, Daemon just keeps leaving them on red. He's got a voicemail packed with messages from Jace and Baela, from Aemon. Aemon just asking for advice on how to be more like Daemon.
And shout out to Laris for basically reiterating my point from last week. They're like, oh, aren't you mad that they took Harrenhal? He's like, fucking Harrenhal's a dump. It's fucking cursed. I don't give a shit about Harrenhal.
Yeah, and he's got all their gold, so...
He continues to be fucking creepy.
At this point, I don't even know why people trust him enough to have private conversations. I understand why Aegon does, because he's stupid, but Alicent is much smarter. So why even let this guy in your room? You know, like, oh, Loras is here to see you. And I guess in that scene, it was more so about Alicent kind of going back and forth on what Viserys actually wanted. She even says that a few weeks ago, Viserys was alive and the realm was at peace. So yeah, you want to see that your son is on the throne and he takes his power, but you're seeing how difficult it's been. So you become nostalgic for just a month ago when everything was quiet and calm.
Yeah, I think that's what's lost on a lot of people, and me also, to kind of put it into perspective of like, yeah, a few weeks ago, Viserys was alive and all this madness has happened since then.
Yeah, so you had that first scene when she takes the tea and she asks the Maester, you know, what do you think about Viserys? Do you think that he ever wavered? And the Maester's like, leave me the fuck out of this. I just make the tea.
Yeah, it was a smart
I'll talk
move.
tea with you all day, but yeah.
So yeah, no, we didn't really talk too much, you know.
But Loras does make the point. You know, it reminded me of when Cersei rips up the paper that Robert wrote. Doesn't matter. Once they're dead, they're gone. So anything they said, anything they wished, it dies with them. And it's up to the living to make those choices, and their choices have been made. And I think that's what Alicent, you know, it was with Rhaenyra, she wanted to see if there was any other path, and she realizes, okay, war it is. And Alicent had that moment in this episode where she's trying to tell Aegon, just sit back and let us take care of it because we've already done so much and given up so much to even get you to this point. So this is what it is. And we can't back out now. So I enjoyed Alicent in this episode. I mean, Olivia Cooke has been such a good actress for a long time now, but she's really great. And obviously she's the war is really weighing on her because her hair was a bit messed up and she looks tired in the face. It's not the promise of war anymore. It is actual war, and that is going to take a huge toll. But she even says, hey, many people are going to die. Dragons are going to be involved, and the winner ascends the throne, the loser dies. So let's roll the dice, baby.
Yeah, I mean, they both kind of gave similar sentiments on each of their sides. Kind of like, yeah, this is what it is now, and you're basically going back to Game of Thrones. You're the winner or you die. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, because Rhaenyra walks into that council meeting, and man, Jace was really coming at her neck. So a couple of spats between mother and son. And I think with Jace, it's just there's such an honesty there. They're very open with each other. They have a much healthier relationship. So that deception, it hurt him a bit, but as Rhaenyra says, it was her last grasp at peace. now she seems so much more in command. That was the most in command Rhaenyra ever felt, leading a small council meeting. And it wasn't until Rhaenys volunteers to join the battle where you see her face become flush, and that personal toll, that realization that you're going to lose someone who's not just an important advisor, but someone who's family, someone who's looked out for you, or the possibility that you're going to lose them. That realization, it was written all over her face. Even though she's only really in the 2 scenes, I really enjoyed Rhaenyra in that scene.
Yeah, and even Corlys walking into that room, you just felt his presence, and the tone shift immediately. So,
I'm a man. They're like, oh shit, a man. Oh man, I can't talk crazy now.
So, I mean, having someone like Corlys at her back supporting Rhaenyra, I think it just gives, her the confidence, and the other people in the room the kind of like, well, if Corlys is on board, then I guess we kind of should be on board as well. And like you said, Rhaenys taking the initiative. I think Jace is probably like, I don't know. I think he's looking back right now. It's like, oh, good thing I didn't go. I would have been fucked.
Can you imagine Jace in that battle?
No. He would have got fucking washed.
God, that would have been maybe if you went with Rhaenys, and I think that's going to be something that they discuss in the next episode, because at first Rhaenyra said, hey, I'll go with my dragon, and they were like, obviously that's ridiculous, because if you die, the whole cause is lost, so of course Aegon shows up to the battle on his dragon. But no, if you go 2-on-2 there, and going back to episode 1 when Daemon was like, we need 2 dragons to take out somebody like Vhagar, so
Aegon thought he's gonna be showing up like fucking Han Solo at the end of New Hope. Like, oh, I'm about to fuck. This is about to be sick. Well, even like, I'm not trying to like pump up Cole too much, but even that speech he gave.
Oh, I thought that was awesome. Yeah. Way to spin it.
So your king's coming to fight with you, and everyone's like, hell yeah. I'm gonna go back out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Oh, just got crushed. I think that was more for G Wayne. He was trying to show G Wayne, like, I've got this under control. And when Aegon saw Aemon in the distance, and he was like, oh, thank the gods. And then 10 seconds later, Aemon's like, Dracarys. Boy, that was a tough ending for this fella. All right, guys, before we get to the second half of this review, we're going to take a quick break and shout out our sponsor for today's episode, and that would be ExpressVPN. I know we've all been there. You let somebody use your laptop and they search something on your web browser that begins with the letter P and rhymes with the word corn, and all of a sudden your most visited website pops up. For me, that would be 2009 LeBron highlights, but I usually save myself the embarrassment by using incognito mode. But most people don't know that incognito mode is not enough to hide your browsing history. Check the fine print. All of your online activity is still 100% visible to a ton of third parties, unless you use ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is the best option for those looking to stay safe on the internet while keeping the good stuff in and keeping the embarrassment out. When you log into public networks, your sensitive data like banking information, passwords, IP addresses, they're all at risk, even when using incognito mode. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per person by selling personal info on the dark web, but ExpressVPN creates a secure, encrypted tunnel between your devices and the internet. Their private networks provide a layer of protection that keeps hackers from stealing any sensitive data, so no one will know how often you're watching those 2009 LeBron highlights. Or porn. ExpressVPN is extremely easy to use. Fire up the app and click one button to get protected. Plus, it works on all devices: phones, laptops, tablets, smart fridges. Actually, not sure about that one, but you can stay secure on the go. So head on over to expressvpn.com/nerdsoup to secure your online data today. That's expressvpn.com/nerdsoup. And you can get an extra month's free when you visit expressvpn.com/nerdsoup right now. Hurry up. Blocked by James.
Yeah, I mean, the motivation from Aemon, him going up to the dragon and Aegon with his sword drawn. You got to think if Cole doesn't show up, it's night-night for Eggy there.
Yeah, and I guess he takes Cat's Paw. Can't take his life, but I'll take the dagger. That'll be
who knows?
enough.
Unless there's like if Aegon does survive and it is like an amnesia situation, you got to assume Aemon's pretty fucked. Or hoping that his brother dies.
Right, and Aemon already felt like the king, especially in that council meeting, because he's got the wisdom that Viserys had. He's just got way more fight in him. So he actually gets to enact everything that he's learned through reading the histories and the philosophies and learning High Valyrian. You get to stun on your brother.
Well, if Aegon does, if he is incapacitated for any amount of time, I feel like the struggle within the struggle intensifies. Because at least with Aegon, even though no one really took him seriously, like no one's really disputing him as king. But let's just say he's out 8 to 12 weeks, reevaluate.
He's the clear authority there. So, like you said, even though they're ignoring him, he's at the top of the hierarchy. Now there could be multiple people at that top. Because if Aegon's not there to say no to shit.
Hand of the king, Kristen Cole. You bring Otto back into the fold. Then you have the queen, or both queens. So, like,
what's scary about Aemon is that he doesn't even have an official position. His title is Big Dragon.
Yeah, because like even like you said, like or we talked about, even though no one takes him seriously, he's like no one is scheming. Well, I guess Aemon a little bit, but like they're all operating in their position.
Right. I mean, the goal is to secure his throne. He wasn't even supposed to fucking be there. Aemon just took that as an opportunity to move him out of the picture. At the end of the day, he was the one in charge. So yeah, it just makes things way more complicated, as you've been saying. And there's another point I wanted to make about that. Oh well, you know, when you look at Aegon's remaining children, way too young to have any sort of power. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out next week. Is he dead or is he alive? Nice little cliffhanger there. Same with Rhaenys. Is she dead or is she alive? I don't know. Didn't see a body.
I'll tell you what, Corlys. Obviously, I feel bad because we saw, like, in episodes past, like, their calm relationship, and it seemed like they had the only real normal relationship out of any of the characters we met. So, I mean, when you're with someone who you have such a great relationship with so long, and just for her to be gone one day, what's his reaction to that? Obviously, he's not going to but is it more revenge sequel? Does he get a little bit more reserved? So obviously Rhaenyra's reaction and everybody else's, but I'm looking for Corlys to see kind of where he's at mentally and like what his next move is.
Yeah, and especially because their last conversation was about Alan being his illegitimate son. And Rhaenys calling him out about that story I found pretty funny. This is the man that saved your life. Corlys is like, yeah, what about it? Well, you think he was too young for that story? The years aren't matching up? What is this, an inquiry? An inquisition? So all the scenes we had seen prior, they always seemed to be on the same page. Or there was nothing ever personal. Maybe they had disagreements about the wider scope of the political turmoil. But that was the first time that they got into personal business. And I hope, you know, somebody like Catelyn Stark was watching that. That's the proper way to deal with somebody who's not responsible for who their father is or who their mother is. And just a very subtle but powerful performance there by Eve Best, touching his face and saying, you know, offering him those words of comfort, saying it without saying it. So yeah, that was the best scene so far, I thought, between Rhaenys and Corlys. And I knew what they were doing leading up to this episode with those scenes of them with their hair down, just enjoying those quiet moments together, that we were going to look back on that and think how tragic because Rhaenys is now dead. I still don't love those scenes, but I thought that scene at Driftmark was the best one.
Like when we were talking about them, we're like, well, you know, something's got to give, you know, getting these little snippets. I'm like, what's going to happen?
They kept going back to it. I was like, all right, we get it. They're happy.
But yeah, I mean, how about, like, it's so annoying. Like, obviously I would be more pissed if I didn't know what was going on. But if you go on Twitter, a lot of these House of the Dragon accounts just straight up, like I don't know if they obviously know what they're doing, but they do it in such a like, hoo type of way.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I hate
like, oh, they use this pitch. They use this Rhaenys from this episode, huh? Like spoiling it without spoiling it. Like before the episode, I mean, after the episode airs, we've talked about it. Like it's a free game if you're not watching at 9. But before the episode, the day of, especially with the algorithm now, where you see anything, my algorithm's all House of the Dragon now because that's all like I really like either tweet about or like I interact with. So like I see all of it. So it's either spoiling or everyone talking about it was Jason Aemon serving face. So
Ewan Mitchell is he's a great actor.
Every post that has Jace, if it's like from HBO or from anything, it's just about Jace's face.
That man does serve face. Jace the face. He's got great cheekbones. Those strong genes are they're powerful. Like
someone tweeted like a snippet of him at the Twins next week. So I clicked it, like read some of the comments, and it was all like, he's serving face at the Twins? It's like, yeah, I guess that's one takeaway from it.
Yeah, I even saw a post. It was this morning on Instagram, and it was like, spoilers if you haven't seen this episode, but the first picture was Rhaenys falling to her death. I understand even after 9 p.m. it is fair game, but don't post it with spoiler and the first picture is a major spoiler. It's Instagram. The first thing I'm going to see is a picture.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. But I guess that's just the way the game is, dude. Everybody's so goddamn hungry for those clicks and the engagement. So it's kind of gross.
Yeah, just Jace serving face at the Twins. So we got to look forward to next week.
That motherfucker, when I do see him, I'm like, yeah, that's a prince. You're very princely.
Him defending Baylor was pretty funny. It was like, well, actually, it was a fucking scout mission, you idiot. So she did her job very well.
Yeah, and Bayla clapped back and was like, oh, next time you're on your dragon. Oh, you don't have a dragon, right? Oh, right. I forgot. You don't have Valerian blood. That sucks. Idiot. You know what's always so funny? Whenever there's a huge battle and then there's just one horse unscathed. There was the one horse when Kristen Cole was walking up the hill trying to find Aegon, and the horse looks so unbothered. He was looking around like, damn, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's always one like in the dust.
Yeah. And they just seem so chill. I'm like, that horse has to be feeling some sort of fear or anxiety. Good animals, man. We really just abuse those animals at this time.
I fed a horse. I was at a wedding last week, and outside there was a stable. So I was hanging out with a horse for a while. It's fucking massive.
Yeah, big beasts. One of my favorite animals, honestly. The horse is up there.
Are they allowed to have spring rolls? I didn't give them a spring roll. I gave them grass.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Fucking dipping Oreos in milk. No, I'm sure the horse is a big boy. Come on. If the horse can't have a spring roll, I feel like, I don't know. Yeah. Zebras maybe can't have spring rolls. I feel like Zebra's got a sensitive stomach. Zebra's got some diva in it. Those stripes? Are you kidding me? Serving face?
Yeah, Zebra. Where did we open?
The episode opened at Harrenhal, right?
At Harrenhal.
He walks into the Red Keep and throne room. See, at first I thought, is this a flashback? But then when Rhaenyra's headless body started speaking, I thought, oh, this is a hallucination. This isn't actually happening.
I gave it a couple seconds. This still could have happened.
Yeah, I did not expect them to double dip with Amelia Alcock, but I'm not mad about it because they're reinforcing that point. I think maybe by next episode we need to get a move on, but I think these two episodes, not a move on in the story, but for Daemon, where I thought they've made the point here.
Oh no, I'm the opposite. I want all the fucking chaos in the world to happen outside of Harrenhal and him just in a fucking
every episode is the same thing.
Surrealism. Just I actually having no idea what's real and what's out. And
I either
finally comes to. It's like, yeah, the war's over, buddy.
Like, yeah, there's some kid, a Stark, Brant Stark. He's on the throne now. He could see everything. A weird guy.
You missed a lot.
You missed a lot, buddy. Move on from it next episode or for the rest of the season. It's just him not answering any ravens and hallucinating at Harrenhal.
I will tell you, characters. I had the first, because throughout the show, I haven't really had the sense of oh man, I wish Game of Thrones ended better because it's impinging my joy of this show. But I had my first moment of that because watching these Targaryens on Dragonback go at it and everything like that, I was just thinking to myself, it's like, it would have been so much cooler if man, this is King Jon Targaryen's ancestors. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like, this is where it all started. Now we have Daenerys and Jon riding dragons, and we're back to Targaryen power, and this destined house is back on the throne. No, it's not that. It's Bran. Yeah,
I think a lot of it is also, if this would have came out and Game of Thrones had absolutely nailed the ending, this would feel like you guys want a little more. You know, we never planned to do this, but let's show you the Dance of the Dragons. The Prince and the Promise, the Targaryen that must be on the throne to stop what's coming. Right. What this feels like now is please like us. We're going to show you the Dance of the Dragons. this is cool, right? This reminds you of when Game of Thrones was good. And even though it has been, I mean, especially this episode, definitely the best episode so far. But yeah, if you had that strong ending, this would be the ultimate cherry on top. And instead, it's like you sent your dessert back to the kitchen and they're making you something that they don't even make, they used to make, that they got famous for. But they're like, we're going to make that thing. It's going to be amazing.
And it's not like every time, but I just got a small little sense of that during that battle. So...
Well, yeah, and then we have the scene with Rhaenyra reciting the prophecy. I did enjoy that speech. I enjoyed that speech in the trailer, and I thought it was a good moment warming us up for that battle. She's sharing with Jace what Viserys shared with her. I liked it as a moment between Rhaenyra and Jace, but at this point, hearing Aegon's dream, A Song of Ice and Fire, I didn't even roll my eyes. I was just kind of ready for what was to come at that point. And it's going to be interesting to... because the prophecy, obviously, I don't think this is a spoiler. It does get lost by the time we start Game of Thrones. And especially Cat's Paw, it almost feels like they're connected at that point, right? Because the fact that Cat's Paw is now in the hands of someone who's not the king, who's not in line to become the king. And obviously Rhaenyra's situation being so perilous at this point. Everything's so uncertain. You don't know if to think so far ahead of Jace being on the Iron Throne is almost a little ridiculous, but it's precautionary here. So I guess those details are fun to keep an eye out on. I thought Aegon's fucking Kingsguard was so funny this episode, dude. The guy who was kind of choking on his armor, trying to get a little bit more comfortable. And then when he sends them away
for all morning.
It's like, there's no, I don't get a chair, Kingsguard. No, oh, okay. No, if we got to fight, spring into action. And then when he sends them away, when he's talking to his mom and they walk into each other. Just everything around Aegon, his inner circle, they're all just incompetent. And a lot of talking up of Viserys, man. Classic case of you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah.
Otto was missing him in that scene with Aegon. Now Alicent's like, maybe you could be half the king your father was. Viserys was such a good dude.
That's tough. And she was playing with his little Lego and broke that too?
Yeah. God damn. Everything's falling apart.
That should just be a recurring bit where like every episode, a little piece of it breaks again. Well, I thought it was funny when she's looking for all the history books, like, where are your father's history books? Like, oh, I had them removed. And she just like berates him. He's like, I didn't have them burned, Mom. Just move them.
They always think the worst of this guy. I don't think they're done with the idea of Alicent betraying Aegon, especially with that scene. And when she sees what happens, when she finally sees what happens to him after that battle, because it's not so much Aegon's incompetent. He doesn't know what he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't deserve the throne, but maybe more guilt because of how she's missing Viserys and the type of ruler that she was, or the type of ruler that he was, and wanting to maybe come back to that idea of honoring his last wish. Because she knows at this point, when they're talking about, oh, nobody could know what the king was thinking of in those last few weeks. You just had that conversation with Rhaenyra. Obviously, she can't really tell that to anybody else because it could, even that conversation could be considered treasonous. But I don't think they're done with that. I don't think they're done touching on the idea of Alicent's allegiance and where she's leaning, who she's leaning towards. So that's something else to keep an eye out on. Not really a spoiler, but that is a bit of a change from the written material. And I think that gives Olivia Cooke something more to work with the character. My favorite quote from George is, "The heart in conflict with itself is the only thing worth writing about." And I think you're seeing that with Alicent at times. Definitely seeing it with Daemon. But that could be a fun, personal struggle that she can have moving forward this season and in future seasons. And she is, God, I'm going to cut this out, but God damn, she is so hot. She looks so damn good in those dresses.
Yeah.
Somebody made the point that they never understood K-pop stan culture until Emma Darcy as Rhaenyra, but that they want to make a fake Twitter account with her face all over it and just stan Emma Darcy. And I'm like, yo, I totally get it now, because I feel that same way towards Emma Darcy. I have such allegiance towards her. Talk about serving face, mother and son. Some sharp features.
I think Simon Strong's my favorite character. And his real name's Simon in real life. I like that.
Yeah, actually, all of his reactions have been hilarious. Guy's just trying to survive.
But he's also probably like, why did it have to be Daemon? Anybody else could have came, and it had to be fucking Daemon.
Yeah, to be fair to Daemon, he's not as annoying as he could be. That's kind of the deal with him. But yeah, no, poor Simon. Harrenhal's been one of my favorite parts of the season so far. Just everything that's going on, all the character interactions, the stuff with Damon, but the setting itself of Harrenhal. You made this point in the last episode that it's the first time that it's not for certain, but it's the first time they've introduced this sort of psychedelic, ambiguous magic. And I've really enjoyed it, even though
it was always fun, even if it was just for a second in Game of Thrones, whether it be with Daenerys or Bran, kind of these out there sequences that remind you that obviously, yes, with dragons, but like it is a fantasy series. Stuff like magic and stuff like that does exist.
When you see a shot of Lena, because we spend so little time with her, I do wonder if the audience is like, who is that?
Oh, for sure.
Why is that significant? And I do wish maybe that there could have been a way to just make shit up so that these moments would be a bit stronger when you're reintroduced to a character like that. If they had some sort of, and I know they had that one episode, but it really just felt like a one and done where they established their relationship, that they're a family, that they're in Essos, and then she dies. It was an epic death, but I felt like there was a lot of room for them to expand the character stuff in ways that could have been really, really fun for the audience, and not in a huge way, but yeah, I don't know. That's going back really far. But the Rhaenyra stuff is just so effective because of how great their relationship was in those first 6 episodes. So when he sees her, he's shocked. When I see her, I'm like, oh my God, that's young Rhaenyra. It's great. That's the stuff that you've earned because you built that relationship, and we spent a significant amount of time with them. So it's super effective when you have those moments.
I did think we were going to get a Viserys.
That would be interesting. I think that he's a presence I would rather stay dead, even in the flashback.
Like when he's following, when you only could see from the back and it's,
okay,
the hair, I thought there might have been Viserys.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that where he's cosplaying as Aemon. So I think that was signifying that he can see how this freak nephew of his is becoming a monster because he's modeling himself after Daemon.
Thinks he's him.
Yeah, he does. He's like taking the worst parts of Daemon that have become famous across the realm and making that his whole personality. So once again, showing him the path that he shouldn't go, because that's the path Aemon would take. Aemon would betray Rhaenyra. We saw Aemon fucking betray Aegon in this episode, essentially. So there were a lot of cool parallels in this episode. It wasn't just the battles. It was the character stuff was really strong. I think as strong as it's been all season. Like I said, the parallels with Alicent and her son, Rhaenyra and her son, Daemon and Aemon. So yeah, overall, a really, really good episode.
Yeah, I agree. Probably the best of the season, maybe best of the series. And yeah, like we said, the battle episodes are always better when there's a strong narrative and character stuff around it, not just an all-out battle. So it really had everything you want and expect from this show in one episode. So like you said, it's I think it's the highest rated of all of A House of the Dragon at 9.7 on IMDb, which puts it in very good company when you consider the universe as a whole. So
right, and also the justification for having that battle in the middle of the day, that it would be a surprise. We definitely take for granted the production value, but I thought the castle looked great. The men in their armor looked fantastic. Aegon looked a little stupid in some of those shots with the CGI, but stupid CGI doesn't even bother me anymore. It has to be just egregiously bad, and
it looked better at the battle, but the King's Landing backdrop looked very out of place.
Oh my God, it looked horrible. Yeah. And once again, I don't.
Which wasn't a problem in Game of Thrones. Obviously, they had a little bit more money, but I think early seasons, maybe even up until Daenerys and Meereen escaping the fighting pits. But I feel like from that point on, especially in the later seasons, 6 and 7, when she fought the Lannisters, when she gets to King's Landing, even in the North, I thought the dragon riding was pretty seamless.
Yeah, and the way that in the battle for Winterfell, when the dragons are fighting, it was almost too clean. I think the way that they were maneuvering around each other, this was an alley fight. This was, I'm going to just dig my claws into your stomach, and then I'm going to dig my claws into your neck, and we're going to just start trading fire fucking balls. It was, there was nothing about it that, like when Daenerys shows up on Drogon, you get this rush, this sensation of, this is awesome. But when Vhagar shows up, you get this immense sense of dread, like nails on a chalkboard watching these two dragons fight each other. It was so uncomfortable to watch.
Well, I tell you what, I respect this show for going all in on the saddles, but it just shows how goofy Daenerys is with no saddle on those dragons. It is absurd. I understand, obviously, in Marine because Drogon's coming to save her, and there's no saddle. But everything after that should have been saddled up.
Oh, sure. You have to be saddled up for battle, dude. They were legit grabbing two horns.
Yeah, they were just grabbing
just holding on. Yeah. That was funny when Meleys ripped the horn out of Vhagar, and Vhagar was like, all that for a drop of blood.
You see all these holes I got in these wings?
Dude,
I'm worried about you.
There was a lot of, for as deadly as it became, the dragons were just being ripped to shreds here. There were a lot of cute moments with them, and I really appreciated that. If Sunfire would have gave me that greeting, I would have been like, come on, buddy, we're going to Dorne. Let's go on a little vacay. I'm not taking that poor baby into battle. That was adorable. He was so happy to see Aegon. And then Meleys and Rhaenys, Vhagar plopping on the floor like a puppy. That shit was cute, dude. So those little touches always really bring the world to life. We're seeing the personality with the dragons, and I love that shit.
Yeah, like I said, one of the better episodes of the series, and I think a lot of people, we talked about it last week, that this will be almost a make or break episode. Not, maybe that's a little extreme, but one of those episodes that put people all the way back in, not this show, but like Game of Thrones content in general. It's like, yeah, like they still got it. This is why I tune in every week for this epic, intense shit that you really don't get anywhere else on TV. So let's see how they build off of this episode. Obviously, next week we have Jace serving face at the Twins, so no one's going to want to miss that. So it looks like we got a couple bangers back to back.
Like, if your show is struggling out there, just add a dragon.
Oh, they're going to say Jace.
Or yeah, if you can afford a dragon and Jace, because that's the thing, the price is going up. Yesterday's price not the same price for Jace. That motherfucker's definitely going to get some brand ambassador deal with
season 4 of The Bear. So we got a Michelin critic coming in, just fucking Jace.
Bro, with the way the Bear does cameos, I wouldn't be surprised if Vhagar was like a fact.
Vhagar is a fact.
Just a fact, brother. Like, oh, V.
Right.
Just speaks and growls.
Yeah.
And subtitles.
They know perfect High Valyrian.
Yeah, right, I wouldn't put it past the fucking facts.
No, I can picture Vhagar is like they gotta send Sid out to France to learn some Michelin style dishes or whatever, and Vhagar's the head chef.
Head chef, yeah.
But so sweet.
Everything's just charbroiled.
It's almost perfect. We just need a little.
Yeah.
Perfect now.
Send
that out.
That is a perfect pancake burnt to a crisp.
And the whole menu is just fucking charbroiled sheep, and all the patrons are other dragons. Like, they're going to love this.
All right, guys, that does it for this episode of Nerd Soup. That is our review of House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 4. Be on the lookout for our spoiler discussion, as I said. And I think we're going to upload that to the old Patreon. Or actually, you know what? We're probably just going to throw that on the main channel, because that's going to be a big one. We're going to bring on a guest for that one. Vhagar the Dragon. No, it's probably going to be Cam. Yeah, so that's fun. If you want some fan questions, some more Nerd Soup, if you feel like, you're slacking on your sustenance, go ahead and pledge. And yeah, Aaron, any last thoughts? Any last words? I don't know why I said any last words, like I'm about to kill you.
I guess tell my family I love them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's something cool, like you will also have the same fate. Some shit like that.
Nah, I got that in my bag.
That would suck, dude. Like if you're a great lord and you're about to be executed and your last words are like you stutter a little bit. Yeah, well you're not a great guy. That's like when you think of something funny, you're in the afterlife, like, fuck, should have said this. God damn it.
It is the worst. I always have this after we record. I'm like, oh, it would have been funny if I said that at that point.
Yeah, dude, all the time. Really sucks. All right, see ya.
Later.